Welcome to Hardcast, where we're breaking into Project Rising Spirit to discuss Bloodshot Volume 2. Joining me as always is Chris.
Hello.
Now, Chris, I couldn't help but hear a kind of a groan after finishing reading Bloodshot Volume 2.
Yeah. Well, for the first time ever, we're actually doing this episode, an episode of Hardcast sitting across from each other. So now I get to see your beautiful face while we talk.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a very, I don't know, it was for me a very boring story so far. I mean, we just watched X-Men, the Wolverine Origins last night. And it felt very similar, like the ending there where they, when he goes to get the kids and stuff like that.
I did not even think about that. So I reread it yesterday as well, the volume.
Yeah, right after we watched the movie, actually, right then.
Yeah, so I did not even, there was nothing at all like, did I see something similar to this? It was not at all. So I'm not sure if that's just me or the fact that it felt different enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, the crazy stuff is even the parallels of Bloodshot just being a very Wolverine-y character, and then to have him rescue some mutant kids or
from
kids.
Weapon X, Project Rising Spirit.
Right. But so again, it's the problem is, I mean, I'm not expecting them to have some sort of revelation or a new like they don't need to break new boundaries with storytelling. I mean, that's not I'm not expecting that from them, but it's one of these things where I'm just feeling like, well, why don't I just stick with the stuff that I know? Like, this would not be a reason to start reading Valiant, because they're not doing anything, like with Bloodshot, they're not doing anything new. So I'd rather just stick with the characters that I know. I'd stick with Wolverine over Bloodshot, because they're essentially so far the same character in certain ways.
I get you.
Yeah, but I have to say that I do like the nanites, especially because they're personifying it now more, and I do like it that they're talking and they're actually having conversations with these other people, not only Bloodshot but also the other ones like Melissa and stuff like that. It's great. I like that.
Well, taking the shape of all the false memories he's been implanted with.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even having that little nice quip, I feel like. I believe you mentioned something of like, so you're appearing to me as a child? So your point? Well, could you appear as one of my wives?
Yeah. It's like, why don't you have enough women in your life? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so no, exactly. It's a nice way of persona. Like, it's not just a power, but okay, it's he communicates.
Yeah.
And also in a way gives him, and thanks to Bloodshot and not being fully aware, I guess, of the extent of his own powers.
Yeah.
They can explain to him himself what and that's us, the audience.
Right.
But that's I actually was saving this question for a bit later. But since you brought up nanites, let's see here. Right, Bloodshot's powers seem to be able to do anything that the plot demands, from smuggling himself inside another person to prioritizing different body functions based on the situation.
Yep.
Is this ever too much, or does it feel plausible giving the explanation?
I love how you're making it sound like if I'm some sort of expert on Bloodshot, and you're just kind of like, so what is in your expert opinion?
Not in your expert, but your geek opinion, or just reader opinion. Like you as an audience member, are you feeling it's works within what you presented, or does it feel like? Or does it feel sort of like the sonic screwdriver in Doctor Who? It's like does whatever. He just waves it, but it does anything he wants it to.
Well, the thing is, I feel like there's no. I mean, they explained it enough at the beginning, so it's not one of those things where I feel like it was cheap. I mean, at no point during the reading of it, I was like, okay, this is not a point, because they showed that the nanites can think in some sense. They're in some sense sentient. So obviously, you could communicate with them and say, hey, could you, it's kind of like Ant-Man with his ants. That you use them for what they can do. They have these small things. So obviously, they'd be great for a mission like this where they have to infiltrate a place, and seeing that they're part of his blood, sure, transfuse the blood or like give the blood a little bit to this woman, and seeing that it's also sentient, it can the whole, it's not a chance thing anymore. It's planned out. I think if it was more like a chance thing, like if the nanites weren't, if they were more like insects where they have a certain mission and the mission is only to like heal things, And if they thought that, okay, well, if we drip blood onto the machines in that place, they will try to quote unquote fix it, and by fixing it, they will destroy the security cameras, and then we can walk in, or the security protocols, and we can walk in. But that would then be a little bit more like, okay, that's bullshit. Because like, what are the chances of the drop of blood that they drop from the woman that falls onto the circuitry has the nanites? But but because they were sentient, you could say like, okay, they were waiting to get cut out. They were waiting to continue and stuff like that. And so I don't think there was never a point when I was reading going like, yeah, that's not right.
Well, given what's been explained, of course.
Right. Yeah, I mean, even the part where he was talking to them about like, well, use my muscles for protein, or use my body for protein. I was like, yeah, it works.
And visually it was presented too.
Yeah,
I mean, part of me, I kind of forgot at one point. So like, oh wow, the art's getting weird here.
Yeah.
But like, no, right, that's cool. It's just kind of crippled looking like a sky.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was an interesting way of looking at it. I mean, it will give us. I also like the idea that the nanites. I mean, you had this feeling that he was in some sense vulnerable, because when the nanites were saying something like, don't make me put you in a coma, and that was, I think that was a good kind of like, for me as a reader, I was looking at it going, oh, okay, so beat him enough, he can lose, he can die if the nanites can't keep up.
Well, exactly, and that's I think that's my main thing. Which since you're always comparing him to Wolverine and Deadpool, I feel that's what I like about the Bloodshot in terms of power. That okay, I mean, yes, it's so far it hasn't been too much of an issue, but of course it's the hero. He's the hero, so he's gonna figure out some way.
Of course,
but as you said, it feels a bit like okay, so keep him going constantly. Like if you can have him under fire and not keep him away from any source of protein, it's. Yeah, we can kill him, and like it is possible. It's not, it's not like power of friendship. He's gonna manage all the time.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I've personally. So I was mentioning it to you earlier that compared to the first volume that I reread, where I was kind of like, all right, it started off a little shaky. I feel.
Right.
So here it was coming more into like, I guess in a sense that this one had better villains. I feel. First volume, I felt it was kind of lacking in terms of like a good person for him to fight. It was just soldiers and people in charge. So, but here I felt there were a lot of characters, like with both names and like designs.
Yeah.
Kind of like, oh, okay, this was fun.
Right. Yeah.
And to segue from there, Gamma.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of her?
I'm not. I don't know if I mean, I just think she's a little bit like overdone, and it's so typical that again, like the fat person is the one who can absorb absorb punches and stuff like that. I mean, again, we saw that yesterday in the movie, with Blob. What was the superpower or his mutation? He can take punches, and what was he? He was incredibly fat, and so for me, I just thought like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess she's supposed to be like the, of course the caretaker of the children, and then of course she's like the one that like they're all scared of. But I didn't quite understand her power. I mean, she absorbs fear from children, and that gives her a shield.
Yeah, basically, as I've understood it from reading it. Yeah, she absorbs fear, which is energy, I suppose, of some sorts, and she gets this. You kind of see it on her too. She gets this like shimmer.
Yeah, like a shield.
Yeah, and I'm guessing from what I can tell, it's both like immune then to blows, like it absorbs them, and also when she like grabs things, like both punching or like just tearing into things, it either like gives her like literal strength in a sense, like amplifying, or it. In contact, it does something like
so like that one theory about how Superman is actually that strong.
Well, theory it is kind of it always gets funny because it's just whatever a writer has decided.
Yeah,
but yeah, tactile telekinesis is the word I've heard.
Yeah,
it's the idea that when he touches something, it kind of the object gets surrounded by his kind of sort of aura of sorts.
Yeah, but that's kind of like with her. She has that aura, and then yeah, but yeah.
I just felt it was an interesting. I mean, I agree in a sense. I didn't even think about it, but I agree with like, yeah, yes, the large fat character has this kind of thing. It's not that like they have ice powers or.
But I gotta say, it is true. I mean, I remember when we were in grade school, like in the second and fourth grade, when I was here in Germany, there was this one kid that was like extremely fat for his age, like really fat, and he'd invite people to punch him in the stomach because he couldn't feel it. Like he didn't feel any like this as strong as we were, or as strong as we were as fourth graders, he wouldn't feel any of the punches. So he'd just be like, we could punch him as hard as we could, and he wouldn't even feel anything because there's just like a barrier of fat in front of it, So
well, I mean, yeah, in real life, yeah, I mean that's why in a fight, for example, there's like what's it like strong fat? I think some people refer to.
I have no idea.
But I've heard of like kind of a body type where you're like large, not just size, but you do have fat, but there's muscle behind it in a sense. I've heard the term strong fat.
Okay, yeah.
But though if we're discussing that as a point, it would work if it wasn't like kind of natural strength she had. But the fact that it still is a magical power, like, a Psyoth power.
Yeah.
So it's more about her design than still suiting the thing, rather than being like, well, she's supposed to be strong, like, and take hits, so that's why she's so large.
Right.
But, well, she has these powers and happens to be large.
Right.
But I just feel design-wise, it's a nice creepiness, I feel.
Yeah, especially in that panel when she was reintroduced into the comic. When she came in to see Melissa or whatever her name was. That was a pretty creepy panel.
Oh yeah, and awfully. Well, not awfully. I mean, it's well drawn, but it's just like such a disgusting looking character.
Well, again, I thought that because this is the first time we saw her after the time skip again, from the first issue or the fifth issue, and it was just interesting because I thought that she had aged, and that's why she was looking like that.
I think he's just a different artist.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, but also it was this shot, this panel on page 34 of the digital comic is very, detailed in order to get her to look scarier. I mean, if you look then onto the next time you see her, she looks very similar to her when we saw her for the first time. Yeah, this is all.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's here somewhere. There we go. See, now she's looking very. Like when we get back to her, if we see her again on page
that's true
79, she has normal wrinkles and stuff like that again. So
well, it probably has to oversell it in a sense. So I'm just a little bit disappointed because this can segue into another thing too here, because it seems from what we can tell, it seems like Gamma was killed there, by her own hand at the mercy of a child.
Yeah.
And it got me to thinking as well with the Chainsaw Commandos, I think they were called, though.
Yeah.
So I guess like a little 5-man team with, like one of them being like the commander. I mean, I'm kind of like immediately when I first read it, I remember like I was like, oh, cool, we got a little like bad guy team here, with like a power, like a theme of some sort. And then as they're introduced, like, oh, they're getting killed.
Yeah.
And that's a thing too with Valiant specifically, where they're, in particular, where they don't really have qualms about killing. It's very rarely that we see anything about, no, I don't kill, or like, no, you're innocent. It's like, you're in my way.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about that, and I think one of the reasons why a lot of times they have the killing policy in other comics or other superheroes, because I just feel now that, well, we're kind of missing good like reintroductions of characters here, assuming Gamma I think could be an interesting character for other characters to meet. I mean, she could easily switch sides to someone else or go rogue or or go get good for maybe a moment or something. No, but
good.
Get good.
She can get good for a moment.
No, but there's like, I think the character has potential. But now like, oh, she's dead.
Right, and you don't want to alienate. You don't want to take the risk of alienating some readers who actually like those characters, like with that group of superhero or of villains. You could have done a Suicide Squad-esque comic of them, doing missions or whatever, and there could be people who thought they were really cool and would want to see more of them. But now that half of them are dead, or 2/3 of them are dead.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
three. Yeah,
well, I think there were 5, and I think 3 of them died.
Yeah, so fully. So 2/3 of them are 2/3 of them. 2/5 of them are, still alive. And, so you're kind of thinking like, well, now we can't do that. And especially because of Valiant's policy of where dead is dead, you can't go back on that now.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say like the Chainsaw Commandos here were like, amazing.
No. But it's if this is something like a precedent that they've set now, or introduce cool characters and kill them.
Yeah, well, again, I just feel like there was something, like I said, like with the first volume, it was kind of lacking in terms of a good villain to fight. Yeah. And now, like, okay, cool, we have something. They have names, designs. But I wrote down as well as a point, though. But do you think that might be a good idea, though, that they are like that? Because they might then be forced to come up with new adversaries. So it's not like they're... Like they can prevent Joker immunity, for example, allowing a character who really just should get killed. Mm-hmm. Especially one who, doesn't have like a way of keeping themselves alive. Yeah. Like for example, like Toyo Harada, for example. I mean, he's super powerful. So sure, he could get killed, but we can believe that, he can manage it. Yeah. It's not like he's just a madman who like, let's kill him. It's...
Well, I think that they're kind of when they're putting characters like, when they're killing the characters right away, that they're taking a risk, basically saying that they will invent better characters than they've invented already. And if you don't kill off old characters, you still have that chance of going back to those characters. You can keep on going back and saying like, well, people like these characters, they don't like the new characters we've invented, so let's go back to the old characters and get them back, like get them back from the dead. They've been stitched together again, or whatever. Give reason, whatever, so that we can get those old characters back. But so yeah, I think it's just a risky move on their part to say like, we're going to keep on inventing new characters, which again is good because then you can find characters that really fit, but you still run the risk of making characters that people don't like or can't enjoy, and then you have again the risk of people stop reading and all that kind of stuff. But it's the same reason why they run TV shows into the ground, because they don't want to risk something new that will or might be a flop, whereas they know that Big Bang Theory can go on until the 9th or 10th season. You know what I mean? So why stop a moving train? So I think, well, for a company that I feel like they can, I mean, in some sense they can't take a hit. I doubt if Valiant is big enough to really take a hit like this. Like if they're
yeah, but that's why of course they stick within their limits in that sense. Right. They're not doing a big pushes except for the movies.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean is that if they can test some stuff out. I mean, I guess they can. I mean, I think DC would be more. DC and Marvel could do a little bit more with these kind of things, like with characters. Like they can like kill off characters and invent new ones and just try stuff out without having like huge hits, because they're like, no, okay, it's good. We'll bring Captain America back. He's not Hydra. Captain America's not Hydra. Even Chris Evans commented on that.
I see.
Yeah. That was yesterday. He wrote on Twitter like, Hydra, and then it's like, yeah. So, but that's the thing that they can backpedal, and I think because what Valiant has said now, like about basically
that is dead
and stuff like that, I feel like they can't backpedal as much, so they need to make decisions that actually stick. And I like that. I like that.
Me too.
That you see stuff and you're like, okay, they dead is dead. What happens there is law, so to speak. You can't, because I hate that nowadays when you see someone die in a comic or a movie or something like that. You always think they're going to be back next week. There's no, like even with the death of spoiler alert for Arrow, I guess if anyone cares. The death of Laurel Lance. I immediately was like, there is something fishy about that death.
Specifically with that one line, like of her talking like in secret. Yeah. We don't hear what she says, so what could that be?
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, if that wasn't in there, I would accept it. Like,
really,
I would.
I don't know. I think there was some sort of chemical or whatever shit that they used again. But it's just the thing, like, we can't accept a death as just a death. We have to always be like, well, let's see here. And even then, we have to, like, if we see a death, it has to be a decapitation, like burn the body, freeze the head.
And that's not enough either sometimes.
Right?
I remember
Wolverine.
well not yet, no, but even like with trickery, like in the 52, we had a really great one there with Booster Gold dying. And they had to make it really clear by having his skeleton there. And they even checked, like, DNA wise, it's him.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that he went to the future and found his dead corpse, went back, and then like did a switcheroo. Because that was the only way to get away from Skeets.
Oh my god.
I mean, time travel is his gimmick. So to me, it's not like totally out of the way. And it was a very minor point to a larger story.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was the big twist for everything. But, this kind of stuff there, once those things are in there, like you were mentioning Arrow, take Flash.
Yeah.
Once you have time travel happening by accident and on purpose with, running fast and different dimensions, and there are just so many, solutions for things that make sense in the story. I mean, the world allows it.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of weird. Or like I said, cheapens the effect.
It does. And you don't feel sad anymore for, characters dying, because you're like, well, they're going to come back soon anyway.
All right. But in terms of, we're discussing sort of, I guess, character and story here. Bloodshot's backstory is expanded upon in this volume.
Yeah.
Well, not his, like, before becoming Bloodshot, but... And having him then be basically this abductor of children. And sure, he has no memory of it.
Yeah.
But how do you feel that works for his character? Does this make him deeper now? That he has this kind of guilt and now has this redemption arc, so to speak? Or does it, is it just kind of like unnecessary, or?
Well, it's kind of unnecessary because he doesn't know
that he did it.
Yeah, he has no memory of it, so he's not redeeming himself.
No, but he's gotten that explained to him now at the end, in a sense.
Yeah, but still, it's not like, it's kind of like you can't go up to someone and say, like, like, say something tragic happened, and you forgot about it. Say your fictional brother died, and you forgot about it, like you had some memory loss or whatever, right? If I go up to you and say, like, yeah, your fictional brother died, be sad about it. You can't. It doesn't happen. You don't go like, because the sadness doesn't come from knowing you had a brother and he died.
Because you had the
experience, right? You had the experience. You knew him. You liked him. You miss him. That kind of stuff. You're losing those feelings. So same thing with Deadshot here. Like the only reason he was doing the things that he did was because he thought he was going to find out his name.
No, that's fine.
That's fine. But then he's being explained what happened. He's been told what happened with all the kids and stuff like that, right? But it's just they're stating facts, and they can say that you did this, and he could probably, like, on an intellectual level be like, yeah, that's not good that I did that. But he doesn't have the feelings, like he doesn't have like the pain or the suffering of being part of that organization. He can be intellectually annoyed at the company who did it, or want to, like, intellectually get redemption, basically, by correcting his wrong, even if he doesn't remember. But I don't think it's in any sense it's not a painful thing for him. I think if he feels any emotion, it's more of an emotion towards his hate for whoever made him lose his mind or his memory. Because then he's like, damn it, there's another thing that I didn't know this, and I didn't know that I hurt so many people, and if only if I only didn't lose my memory, maybe I could have gone back and, like, saved these people earlier, or who knows how many more people I've hurt, and if only I knew, then I could help more people, to redeem myself by helping these people that I've wronged in the past. I think that's the only emotional response he would have had.
Not the whole, like, down on his knees, like, what have I done?
Right.
That's it. I was not expecting this line of reasoning there. So that was interesting. In a way, I agree with you. Now that you're mentioning it. But I don't know. I guess personally, just as the observant, like the third party observer, reading this. Only getting the emotion from the context and from whatever universal things you can feel about. And I feel, like, kidnapping children is a pretty, shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean in terms of within the story, so to speak. So about him then, like, you know, like you said, intellectually, like, oh, what I did was bad, but you wouldn't have this like larger, like, no.
Where is it?
Oh, it's earlier. It's like before the flashback issue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but still, it's just one of those things where I feel like there's, but even then, it's just I think it was more of a, yeah, oh right, this thing. I did not make that connection.
So, all right.
No, but I did not make the connection that he was. Wait, is he doing this now to him?
What do you mean?
Like, is he showing him his memory?
No, he's not showing. He's understanding what's going on there in a sense.
I don't get it.
No, I see what you mean. Maybe I'm the one using like future knowledge in a sense.
Yeah, because all I see is him. Because when he was talking about this, I was thinking to myself like, wait, when was this? Did I skip something? Because now that I'm looking at it's the end of what was it? Will be volume 6.
Well, you can see which the next volume is.
End of volume 6.
Well, issue 6.
Issue 6, right? Sorry. Bloodshot comes in and sees the kids. He doesn't say anything. He just says the wall is done. So where's this vault? Gamma, gamma. He's here. He's here. The children shout. The hell. And then all he does is he asks if the kids know who he is. The kid comes out. He gets down on his knees.
No, I
don't get. I thought he was doing something with his hand. He was getting Bloodshot to sit down or to like put him down.
No, I agree with that now. Seeing that I was called we don't know what that kid's power is.
Yeah.
And no, I agree. I mean, except unless we see it as a pure, how should we say? It's like, oh no, children, I should like take it calmly here so they don't get hurt.
I think it's more of a, oh shit, there's no vault here with my name in it.
Oh, so you're saying more of very selfish in a sense.
Yeah, it's selfish. He's like, God damn it, now there's just some kids here. Yeah, because I don't see this as, he doesn't look depressed. He looks more defeated. And I don't know who, I mean, does he know what the boogeyman is? Because
he is. Yeah, he is. But
yeah, but they call him the boogeyman. Does he know that his name is boogeyman? Is that like triggering memories or something like that? Because again, this is not very explanation. This is no explanation to what it is. And then it flashes back. It has an issue of a flashback. So I have no idea what's going on. I just know that he's in a flashback now. And then
the flashback then showcases the whole thing with the children.
Yeah, I know that, but I don't know if he's seeing this now or what. And then he's back here and he's not saying anything. Now we're in volume 8, and he's just talking about he doesn't remember what these kids are, and these kids are saying, "No, you do remember." He's like, "I don't remember," and then the kids touches the floor, and the floor disappears. So I don't like. I had no way of knowing that he felt bad.
You're right. I think I just deduced that because again I have trouble remembering how I first read it.
Yeah.
Like now now as a reader of it, being into Bloodshot Reborn and all that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know the character, or at least what they've shown so far. And I know the character now so far. So I think I might have just been putting things in, like filling in the blanks myself.
Yeah.
So, which again, it's an interesting thing to see from your end and reading it now for the first time.
Yeah, well, then again, you basically did give me you gave me an issue that didn't come up
for you. No,
well, in the comic at all yet.
No, you're right.
So like this whole thing, like does he feel regret or redeeming himself? I was like, no, he's not. Like none of this. Comic doesn't have anything.
Not at that point. No, it comes in a little later at the end of the issue with him. Basically taking, or the end of the volume.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. It's I was filling in the blanks myself.
Right.
Prematurely.
But it still doesn't stop me from the idea that just because someone, or it still doesn't stop from my feelings that if you tell someone about the tragic thing that they've done, it's not going to change. They're not going to be like, yeah.
All right then. Okay, I did not imagine that going that direction either.
Yeah.
So
maybe someone needs to work on their question skills a little bit more.
I think the questions are fine. It's just I realized the question wasn't suitable. It's a good question. Just not the right context.
Right.
All right, but I was also seeing this then here. I mean, with the previous podcast we did, we were doing a Harbinger Volume 2, and it ended with this ambiguous bit with this like text box saying, you know, preparing for the Harbinger Wars, the first crossover. And the ending here did it a little bit more, I would say, naturally, you know, by showing that Toyo Harada was behind a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also, and then also, you know, like hinting at this whole Harbinger Wars next. So are you, based on both how Harbinger's going and how Bloodshot is right now, are you looking forward to this like meetup, like this conflict between them? Are you like curious how like Bloodshot's gonna be like fighting or meeting with Peter and Faith and Torque and those guys? Or are you caring about this kind of like I'm not quite sure. Like it's not just like a meetup, but like characters. I mean, this similar to like with Ninjak, it was different. You know, with Exo Manowar Ninjak, because Ninjak was introduced.
Yeah. Well, again,
and here we have 2-volume characters now meeting. So like, ooh, okay, let's.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, I mean, when I read Harbinger, like Harbinger Wars, I was like, okay, so there's going to be my entire my entire reaction was just basically that's cool. That's the extent of it. I'm sorry. I have no. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's great.
You're not hyped. There's no hype.
There's no. I'm still waiting for the Eternal Warrior. I can't believe it's taking this long to get to one of his comics. It's just. And I just feel so. It's like come on. When is this stupid Eternal Warrior gonna come? And then I'm gonna read it. I'm probably gonna hate it. I'm gonna read the first volume and be like, this is not as good as I thought it would be. No, but I understand. It's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting to see how these characters play off each other, and it's going to be great because we know these characters are going to be. We know them already, so we don't have to set up anyway. We don't have to set them up anyway. We can just be like, okay, now let's just punch each other, or let's whoever side he's on. I don't know if he's going to be on Toru Harada's side or on the Harbinger side. What's going to happen? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. First, crossover. True crossover.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah, no, I was curious myself. I mean, I myself, when I read this, it was way past. I believe when I started reading these, because I didn't even read them immediately when I bought them on Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
And so I saw them like, oh, comics, and look kind of interesting. Yeah. And then I waited months before actually reading them. And I think at the time there was probably in the Armor Hunters crossover, so way past that then. So I also don't have that whole thing of like even like as it's happening.
Yeah.
Especially also when you notice that okay, there's more volumes after this, so I'm pretty sure no one's gonna die properly then.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Personally, I just felt it was kind of interesting. Just overall, like, okay, because they're very different in that sense. We have a team up book. Because that's, if you take things like X-Men versus Avengers, well, okay, 2 teams, kind of equal footing in some sense, but with some ideological differences and whatnot. Yeah. But here, like, okay, we have, a group of 5, renegades with, all psychic powers, except for one of them.
Psyop powers. Psyop powers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's psychicness, but yeah, psyops and all. But then you have like this action hero, which in a sense you'd often feel that he'd be outmatched, you'd think, going from like, kind of like guns to, okay, well, I can just blow up your brain.
Right.
But then with the regeneration ability, that's kind of, and it's kind of shown there in that flashback issue as well. Come on, kids, I'm going to save you. Like, Dad, blows off his eye and like, it's actually the perfect kind of guy. And probably also for most people, they don't know how to handle him. They know how like humans work. Okay, yeah, blow up his brain. No, but
I know how humans work.
Exactly. So to me, I was thinking that myself when reading, and besides being kind of confused about okay, what should I read first? And should I read the actual Harbinger Wars? Should I switch orders as I'm reading? So I just took one at a time. But I don't know. I personally feel like it's an interesting and in a way a bit of a humble start too. I mean, again, it's just 2 series. You know, we're not getting Exo Manowar involved. We're not going to get Archer and Armstrong involved or Shadow Man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I feel that's just kind of interesting to do, rather than, again, DC and Marvel have more characters anyways.
Yeah, true.
But you know, they probably, I don't think they have many crossovers that are lowercase in a sense. It's always kind of covering as much as possible. Maybe a focus on something. You're still going to get a way to involve like the Fantastic Four and what's called the Avengers.
I don't know. I mean, you do have, you know, smaller crossovers. I mean,
well, what kind are you thinking? Like, well, I don't mean just like team ups. I mean like the events. Maybe that's the word, events.
Yeah, event is the correct word, because
yeah, crossovers anything.
Crossovers. I mean, you have Batman and Superman. That's a crossover right there. That's a team up.
Yeah, and that's a running series as well. You're absolutely right. The key word is event, not crossover.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they do coincide often, but
yeah. So that's what I mean, is that, you know, the Throne of Atlantis event is also pretty big. So there was, you know, but that was just Justice League and Aquaman, or just the Justice League, I guess.
No, that's true. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it then, but that's mostly my impression I get from like events. It's because the amount of participants, I guess, kind of reflect the importance, you could say.
Right.
I mean, would you really be an event if it's just Spider-Man and Wolverine? I mean, you know, something like going on between those two. That would just be whatever story is taking place.
Yeah, crossover then.
Exactly. It's not an event, even if it's big things happening.
Yeah.
Then again, you're right, though, because they had, or is that, man, I kind of want to go through the terminology and jargon here, because now I'm getting into like arcs and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's this like Spider Island thing, which was like a big thing happening, but it was like very Spider-Man focused. So is that just a Spider-Man arc, or is it an event? Or is it an event arc? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Any closing thoughts on Bloodshot Volume 2?
Not really. I mean, it was fine. You know, the art was great. You know, the storytelling was great. And
besides making it clear about his...
Well...
Or was that me?
That was your mistake, because you were making me think that I missed something. So I had to go back, and I realized
so I was at fault here.
Yeah, it's your fault.
For the first time in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your fault. I'm not going to talk much about the covers, you know, because they're just, again, very generic covers.
Oh, really? I thought there were some really... I mean, yeah, sure, the one you're looking at right there, issue 9's, you know, him just running with guns. So, but I really like the one with... Speaking of running with guns.
Yeah, well, that, again, it's a little bit nice because the issue 8 one has at least a nice art style to it.
Yeah, it's Clayton Crane.
Oh, but this isn't... Is that the variant cover then?
One of them is. I don't know which.
Well, it's probably this one. You know, the one with the nicer art.
Yeah. No, but I like the one with him just covered with the Chainsaw Commandos.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you know, yeah, it's not subtle, but it's like, okay, something's happening. It's like I've told you, my pet peeve is just like the pinups.
Yeah.
And that one I do like, the Harbinger one.
You do?
Yeah, I mean, sure, you know, it's not... What's called? It's a bit, I would say, ambiguous. Issue 7, by the way. But there's just something about, okay, there's a Harbinger symbol, gunshot, like bullet holes all over, and then blood marks, you know, from a few of the bullet holes running down.
Yeah.
I just feel like as a piece, it's very beautiful. You know, it might not say too much about what actually happens inside. Especially considering that we're not, you know, Psyot and Harbingers are not... like mutual, you could say. I mean, Harbinger's the foundation, and then Psyots are just people with powers. So Harbinger isn't actually brought up in this issue in that sense. But I don't know, as a piece, I just feel, because I love the Harbinger logo, and seeing this kind of like scenario, I don't know, I just like it a lot. It's very nice. All right, you know, I mean, I personally liked it a lot better, as I said. I feel like there were some villains, something that I like a lot. You know, you have to have your hero fighting some cool characters. You can't just fight the mooks.
Exactly, yeah.
So, you know, I like that we had Gamma, the Chainsaw Commandos, and now also then like, oh, you know, it's going to be meeting up with Harbinger in some sense.
Yeah.
We don't know how yet. As you said, like, are they teaming up? Is he fighting Harada or the kids? Or, I mean, anything can happen.
Yep.
It's all right.
But yeah, so yeah, that's it. That's, I guess, all I can say about this.
That's all she wrote.
So what's the next one?
Well, you're going to like this one.
Oh, no.
Archer and Armstrong, Volume 2, featuring the Eternal Warrior.
Oh, yes.
And this is his first introduction.
Nice.
So,
Yes.
but I'm wondering...
Holy shit, I'm actually looking forward to the next book that we're reading.
I'm just wondering, though, because he's a bit different. Now that, like, Ferber... no, I'm going to let Keith be happy.
All right, okay. Okay, well, I mean, we're probably going to record another episode on Sunday or something like that someday soon, you know.
So that would be the next one. So
yes, yeah. So I mean, I might be, yeah. My happiness is not going to last for long.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for the 8th episode of Hardcast. Join us next time for when we dive into Archer and Armstrong Volume 2. For more content from both of us, visit robotkeith.com and follow us on Twitter at Humphrey_Aram and at Christian D. Claus.
I got a new Twitter, y'all.
For previous episodes of Hardcast, check out robotkeith.com/podcast. See you next time.